Hey guys, Paul here. Welcome to RDTV and thank you very much indeed for tuning in today. We're going old school, folks. We're going to be in Simbin Studios, classic Oldham McGolden Race 07. We're visiting this sim once again. It's been a long time since Race 07 was an active racing simulation, but still the industrious modding community continue to bring out awesome new mods and make amendments to ones that have already been out for some time. And today we're going all Scandinavian with this, the TTA 2012 mod and the very recently updated STCC 2015. Now, the STCC even 2015 mod has very recently, as early as mid-January, been updated by the incredible, the Mr. Race 07, AndreasFSC. So we thought, sounds like a good idea to get back involved, have a look and see what it feels like nowadays, all the way fast forward to 2019. But first things first, I thought we'd do a bit of a history lesson and we'd go for the TTA 2012, just to get another AndreasFSC mod by the way, but just to give you an idea of what the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship looked like a few short years ago. Now, touring car racing over in Sweden and surrounding regions has gone through a bit of a boom-bust cycle. Back in the good old 1990s, under the Super Touring regulations, the series was at arguably its peak with some incredible cars, some really good racing and some really good quality top class national and international class drivers. As is always the case, unfortunately, with motor racing, money took hold. The Super Touring regulations unfortunately ceased to become a thing, but good old Sweden, they continued with the regs for a couple of years after brand new manufacturer cars were being brought out under those massively impressive rule sets. And a few years after the British Touring Car Championship, which was arguably the de facto #1 Super Touring category in the world, ceased to run under Super Touring Car regulations. So they hung on gamely and became a very, very popular series. But eventually, with the technology getting out of date, no new cars being released from the manufacturers, Super Touring was put to one side, and out came a series of cost-cutting measures and new championship regulations. These eventually led to the formation of the TTA Racing Elite League, which was basically run by the Touring Car Team Association. It was a shell on top of a standard chassis. There was a number of works and semi-works teams involved under the regs, so the manufacturer didn't have to produce the car, it could be created by a customer as per TCR regulations, for example. And it was a short-lived but very nice idea, something of a cross between a DTM car with a Silhouette series type regulations and an affordable national class of racing. TTA served up some good track action. They had some nice cars, the sounds were beautiful and the racing was often very close. But unfortunately the championship was hamstrung by no longer running global rule sets. As with the previous Super Touring and the S2000 regulations, teams could dip in between a number of different national and international series using the same car, but when the STCC branched out to the TTA regulations, they were eligible just for racing in Scandinavia and just under the TTA category, which unfortunately for the series meant a lot less take-up from teams and drivers. But if we go to 2012, where this mod is based in, we had 4 manufacturers. So you've got the Saab with the 9.3, the BMW team with M3, the Volvo S60 and the Citroen C5. Because interesting, the Citroen, Saab are 2 manufacturers not widely known, certainly at the time, for having a large presence in touring car motorsport, so it added a nice curious mix to what was a pretty decent, if but short-lived, championship. For Saab, you had the massive Flash engineering team, very, very high-profile team over in that neck of the woods. BMW had West Coast Racing, which again is a very big team and are now starting to make some tentative steps into international motorsport thanks to the TCR regulations. And under Volvo, of course, Polestar Racing, which are synonymous with the Volvo brand and have now pretty much taken over the new for 2019 WTCR entry for the Lincoln Co team in partnership with Van Muller Racing. So some big name teams there, and on the driving strength from the international contingent, Duncan Heisman, very big name as well, Tommy Rustad, who saw time in British touring cars, Robert Dahlgren and Ted Björk, both drivers that race in WTCR on-off over the years. And then you've got people like Frederick Eklund, who's been a very big name in that area for a long time. So it was a good, strong category, although they did lack somewhat the numbers. At any one time, you only really had 4 cars per manufacturer across a couple of teams. So often you'd find yourself with grids really no bigger than just sneaking outside sneaking in to double figures, which is a real pity for the championship. But the racing was often tight, the field was often very close, and the championship usually is fought through by the top 2 or 3 drivers. So there were successfully unsuccessful regulations, I think's the way to put it, and it's really great to see AndreasFSC having brought these cars to Race 07. Now the mod's been out for a while, but it's still of a very high quality. Andreas has brought all 3 different cars and all the individual teams and drivers to the championship, and they've all got their unique characteristics, sounds and looks, and they've all got really well-tuned AI for the host of Scandinavian tracks that come with Race 07. Now, just to clarify that comment for those of us that are maybe not as familiar with the Simbin touring car simulation from back in the day, but Race 07 came out as the official FIA World Touring Car Championship game, but it also an expansion pack called STCC and STCC2 also were released for the title. These were the official Scandinavian Touring Car Championship add-ons for Race 07, and as such they brought the cars from the 2007, 2010 seasons and brought all the circuits as well. So you've got the full calendar for the many excellent and very challenging racetracks in that part of the world, and AndreasFSC has used those tracks which still formed the series back in 2012 and amended the AI so they very much suit these cars, so you can have a really good, really solid, really robust offline driving experience using the TTA 2012 mod, which is really cool, and that really shines through when you're on track and you're having yourself a little bit of fun, as you can see on the various bits of footage on the screen in front of you now. At this moment in time, I think it offers pretty much one of the better offline racing experiences that you can get your hands on in sim racing, just because it's been developed and tailored so uniquely for the stock content that comes within the game. And that's why I jokingly mentioned that AndreasFSC has become pretty much Mr. Race 07, because he's continued to mod and update and bring new content to a game that's now 12, 13 years old. The update for the next piece of content we're going to see on our screen in a few moments, the STCC 2015, was updated only at the beginning of January 2019, so still work is being undertaken. Andreas is doing work on these cars, the fantastic Super Touring Car Pack, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well, so it really is great to see pretty much a one-man show continuing to breathe life into what must have been at some stage or another everyone's favourite racing sim at one time or another. And I for one am really grateful. The game, in my opinion, really does still stand up to modern standards pretty much. It's still an enjoyable experience behind the wheel. It's not the shiniest graphics, it's not the most advanced physics, it's not the newest thing in any way, shape or form, but it's still perfectly good enough to give you a very enjoyable sim racing experience. And while content like this, like the TTA 2012s and the STCC 2015s, still coming out for the sim, then it's still a very relevant piece of software that can give the discerning sim racer an enjoyable experience out on circuit. So thank you, AndreasFSC, for your continual efforts, sir. They're very much appreciated. I am absolutely sure of it. Now, a little bit more about this TTA mod while I'm going through. As I say, it's got the manufacturers, the teams and the drivers. It has the AI files as well, so you'll get a reasonably accurate representation of who's the quickest. Whoa, excuse me. You'll get a reasonably accurate representation of who's the quickest and slowest drivers throughout the field, and that's really nice as well, and again adds to the offline driving experience and the realism and immersion of the TTA 2012 racing season. Now, the games that come as part of the STCC 1 and 2 DLC packs are all the tracks that race within the calendar of the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship from this time, the TTA Racing Elite League. So you can recreate it in full. You can put the regulations and rules of the category into the game, and you can have basically what is the unofficially official Scandinavian Touring Car add-on pack, and it's free. So thank you, Andreas, thank you modding in general. That's really awesome to see. And while we wait for this race to finish and move on to the STCC 2015, the latest bit of content, I'm going to go quiet for a few moments and let you enjoy these cars before we shift over to the much more recent 2015 season. Fast forward in time to 2015, and we're back with the new mod that's been updated, and we're still running the TTA Touring Racing Elite Regulations. Now, this is the third year of what would eventually be 4 seasons for this Silhouette Racing Series category, and with it comes a few new cars. So Volvo remain with the S60 and their Polestar racing team. Saab are also represented, as are BMW, but entering the fray from the 2012 season is the Kia Optima team from Team Kia, and the Dacia, or Dacia, depending on which way they want to call it today, with the Dacia dealer team. Again, a small, young brand looking to set its roots in Scandinavian touring cars and show that they are more than just entry-level value. 2015 would be a decent year for the series. There would be a frantic battle at the front of the title race between Ted Bjork and Fredrik Ekblom. Both drivers fighting pretty much tooth and nail throughout the year. There's 14 different rounds across 8 different races, and the title would eventually go to Bjork, a driver that would now move on to World Touring Car Championship success in 2017 and races once again for Polestar, at this time under the Lincoln Co banner, heading in to 2019. Now the 15 season, as I say, would be the third of 4 years for TTA Racing Elite League Silhouette regulations. It would be a strong season, and it's awesome to see that these cars have been brought in all their glory for prosperity to Race 07. It's wicked to see things like Saab, Kia and Dacia in a racing game. Really interested to see very different, unique cars within the sim. And this mod in particular, just feels a little bit more polished, a little bit neater, a little bit better looking than the 2012 version that we drove last time out. That would be a lot to do with, well, it's a bit more modern really. It's available from the same author, so AndreasFSC brought these cars out for Race 07 back in June 2015, and then updated it on the 6th of January this year with a few little hot fixes. There's been some work on the tyres, a little bit of work on physics and setups, and some visual improvements as well. But it's at version 1.9 now. It's been steadily updated over the years to become a really solid mod for Race 07, and one that's well worth checking out if you're still interested in this kind of racing car and this kind of racing simulation. There's a lot being added to this mod to make it a strong standalone racing experience within Race 07. Again, much like all of AndreasFSC's mods, there are talent files, the tracks have been tweaked and the AI has been tweaked to get the best AI performance when racing offline. And also the cars have been, for Race 07 standards at least, really nice detail applied to them. So a really good driving experience, a really outstanding racing experience, and it's very much well worth a try. It's also worth noting that for this mod to work you need GTR Evo and the STCC packs, because it does take some sounds from GTR Evo and of course the tracks themselves from the STCC add-ons for Race 07. So just bear in mind that when you are looking to get yourself engaged in this new mod. Well, I say new mod, this recently updated mod. So, what was the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship 2015? I hear you cry. Well, as I say, it was the penultimate season before the TTA regulations were mothballed in favour of ever-increasing trend to globalise the TCR rule set, something that's taken a little while to gain traction, I think it's fair to say, in the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship, although the grids are now pretty much at an all-time high. 2017 was a real watershed moment for the category, with 27 drivers having registered and attempted to take part in an event, although to be fair, probably only 17 or 18 of those were full season regulars. It went downhill a little bit last year, unfortunately. 23 drivers took part at various stages in the season, but only 17 18 again were considered full-time drivers. And although the racing, as is pretty much impossible not to be with TCR cars, was fantastic, and the fight at the front of the field, as always, was wild. In fact, throughout the grid was pretty wild. It does seem like TCR regs are taking a little while to gain traction in Scandinavian touring cars, but that's all in the future, because we're in 2015, and although there were only 14 drivers present, and that was across 5 cars, which was the Volvo, the Saab, the BMW, the Kia and the Dacia, the racing was pretty much from round to round really quite closely fought. We've already mentioned that Bjork took the title. He took it by 10 points in 2015 from big rival Fredrik Ekblom. So again, at the top of the field, you've got some really close racing. Björk and Ekblom are both Volvo, put my teeth in, Paul. Volvo Polestar Racing, there we go. Drivers, and Volvo for a long time pretty much had the upper hand in Scandinavian touring cars. Next up was Fredrik Larsson in P3, Larsson driving for the BMW team, BMW dealer team. But unfortunately for Larsson, he was on 268 points, so thick end of 100 points down on the eventual title winners. But that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because Larsson, Göransson and Andersson behind all had a bit of a battle royale for the minor placings. But like had become known pretty much with the TTA regulation cars, despite the fact that sometimes the points table may prove this to be a bit of a lie, the racing was fantastic. For me, based in the UK, sadly, a lot of the coverage that I got was not English language commentary, so I've not enjoyed the full TTA regulations in full broadcast, but I've seen a lot of the racing on watching native commentary on the internet, reading about it in various written media, and it does look like it was a very spectacular touring car championship. And in fact, almost, you could argue, it was too spectacular for the circuits that were available to it. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, they feel, these TTA cars, a little bit like they were a hybrid DTM stock car V8 from Brazil type car, a silhouette car, big engines, lots of downforce, throwing flames out of the side, and quite fast, very lightweight. But the circuits that run in the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship tend to be much smaller, much more compact, much tighter, much more technical tracks than you would find on, say, the DTM calendar or Grand Prix style circuits, and they don't quite lend themselves to this kind of car. You're really not allowing the car to have its head. You can't really wring its neck. It's a lot of stop-start things. It's never quite getting to its full terminal velocity and going at full pace, and that doesn't really show the cars off in the best possible light. The crowds never really took to it, never really flocked to the series, even though it ran for, as I say, a brief but glorious 4 years. And manufacturer and team support never really quite took hold, hence the reason that 2017 would see the category move to TCR regulation cars, and hopefully that's the beginning of a resurgence for what's historically a very, very good championship. The Scandinavian touring cars, they race on phenomenal, frankly, absolutely phenomenal tracks. There's some really good racing drivers in that region, both the top drivers and the AMs as well. So it deserves a high quality touring car championship, and it's very interesting to see now with TCR regs. They've got a few of the Scandinavian drivers trying the hand in the TCR UK category. West Coast Racing represented in 2018 with Andreas Backerund and his sister as well, so that's really nice, and they were very successful, won a couple of races and showed very strong form during the 2018 season. And also, of course, you've always got Ted Bjork, 2007 World Touring Car Champ, 2017, sorry, World Touring Car Champion, and a potential championship contender again for 2019. So the series is well represented from a driving strength, and I can only hope that TCR regs help it revisit its former glory of the Super Touring category era from the mid to late 1990s and early 2000s as well. But as we say, all good things come to an end, and the TTA class is no longer. The cars are well and truly retired, sat in private collections or museums throughout the region and probably the world. So again, and I've said this loads of times now, this is why sim racing really is quite cool. These cars live on in Race 07, and I'm really glad of it. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to experience these kind of cars on these kind of tracks. Really, really cool. Now this mod, as I say, has been updated and it's still being worked on. It's at version 1.9. It's a very solid mod. The cars look great within the confines of Race 07. They race offline really well. The AI is really clean. AI's always been quite good in Race 07, even now, 13 years on almost from when it first came out. And these are a perfect example of really good quality artificial intelligence. The sounds are all very nice. Like I say, some are borrowed from GTR Evo. The handling is for Race 07 really excellent. I'm driving it with a direct drive wheel today and I've had a really solid, enjoyable on-track experience. So big thumbs up on that one. Highly recommend it. It's a very good experience for anybody who's looking for this kind of racing. And there you have it, guys. That's a little bit of a blast from the past, but with a modern twist. Race 07 might be scoffed, people might look down the nose at it now, saying, yeah, this is an old game. Still got it. It's still got it. Much like a footballer in their late 30s that can still run, shoot and score. It might be olden, but it's still golden. Hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. This has been RDTV. I've been Paul Jeffrey. Give me a like and a subscribe on Twitch and YouTube. That will be awesome. We've been driving Race 07. Thank you, AndreasFSC, for your continual excellence with bringing mods to this classic sim. Until next time, guys, sim racing is awesome. So are you. Catch you later. Ta-ra.